Hey folks, Bob Reese with the Guides Forecast, giving you a fishing report for Saturday the 26th. I've been sticking to the ocean as I did today as well. I knew that river would be pretty crowded with people. It was a busy day, but the river fishing is holding up, much to my surprise. People talked about, of course, it's not as good as it was the previous 2 days, especially not opening day, reopening day, but folks did well in the river. I know of fish caught in the anchorage right behind me above the bridge first thing in the morning, and of course the Washington side, as well as Hammond produced biters. But as many would likely guess, because the biters continue to get culled out of the fishery, the bite's not lasting long. So yeah, it's just not as productive overall. That's to be expected, but still, for the river fishing, compared to how the fishery was performing prior to the reopener, action is good. And people are talking about a lot of tules in the catch. That's not a surprise. There is a downturn in the upriver bright component, and since many of those upriver brights are the Hanford Reach fish that are wild, they're not clipped. So people are choosing carefully whether they want to keep a tule strain fish. A lot of the bigger bucks are cutting orange, even though they might be a little dark skinned and a little dusky looking, but bucks in particular are cutting orange. And of course, fin clipped only in the river, both for coho and chinook, and coho are showing up in better numbers in the river, so that's a good thing for sure. I've fished the ocean. I started out in a green line, and I'm kind of done with that program because it's not producing consistent results. Most guys that are doing well are going mostly in front of the lighthouse in 60 to 80 foot of water, and they're trolling westward. We hit several different spots. After the green line didn't produce, I went maybe a mile and a half north of the lighthouse, also out to 80 foot of water. I was headed for the deep to shake it up a bit to see if there's coho offshore, especially given the fact we're now allowed to retain wild coho. It just was my dream, like in the good old days, to run across a bunch of piranha-like snapping coho. And as I was heading out to the deep, I came across a gentleman out there, like one of 3 boats that was fighting a fish on his own. So I stopped and did some circles and caught 1 chinook and 2 nice coho, really nice coho, and had a few other bites before we did get a chance. The bite slowed down, and we did get a chance to go out to 200 foot of water to see if there's any dumb ones out there. And we hooked something big. I think it might have been a shark. We had hooked it down 110 on the line counter and snapped the 50-pound test leader spin fish, brand new one, gone. But you get to make stories, so that was okay. We did get one more coho out there in the deep water, but then circled back around and came in just north of where the fleet of boats were at about 100 foot of water, straight west of the lighthouse, and caught a few more. But then we finished our day trolling in 30 foot of water just north of the lighthouse, trolling south to the tip of the North Jetty, catching 3 more coho and a nice fin clip chinook upriver bright at the tip of the jetty there, North Jetty. So that we ended our day about 1 o'clock with that fish. So killed 9 in the ocean today. There was at least 2 wild coho that we retained, and we ended up with 3 chinook and 6 coho. So a good day on the ocean. A lot of guys did well. Sure is nice not having to look for fin clips out there for coho and chinook, but folks had a hard time finding some fin clip fish in the river. Again, shouldn't be a big surprise given that many of the hatchery fish have been culled out, but it seems to be a fairly steady stream of fish coming in. I'm looking at a boat here just in front of the port of Astoria that's just holding an incoming tide, and had friends fish to 5:30, and they were catching fish even down at the checkerboard. So we're still on this soft tide series, and it's producing good results downstream of the bridge. And just another side note, I did fish high tide Thursday night. We had 4 bites, just kind of reiterating the opportunities that exist in the afternoon, the second high tide, late in the afternoon and early evening. 4 bites isn't fantastic, but we were just one of maybe 10 boats that were on the Washington side below the bridge that particular night. But you're just a target for these seals. The one that we did have a hold of long enough was grabbed by a seal, and we didn't get it. So as fun as that is, I don't like seals that much. So I don't know if I'll be doing that so much anymore. But the evening bite certainly hasn't been as good as the morning bite, which is the way of the West. And it's the same in the ocean, as I've talked about many times, is that your first pass, your first hour and a half of daybreak is going to be your most productive in the ocean. So those fish will come around and bite at different times of the tide over the course of the morning and even in the afternoon. But that first light bite is really a thing out there. So if you do plan on going to the ocean, go early if you want to make the most of it. Supposed to have a friendly bar and ocean for the next several days. Tomorrow being Sunday, it's the last day the river's open before the 2-day closure on the 28th and 29th. So should be productive, both in the river and even more so in the ocean. So friendly seas ahead, take advantage of it. Stay safe and good luck, everybody. I guess I had one other thing to add there, that I talked to one boat that went for halibut offshore. They didn't have any luck halibut, but they came back and found a rip at about 450 foot in the Astoria Canyon and dropped them in, and it was coho mayhem. So it looks like there may be a situation shaping up like what we witnessed last year. A lot of folks that were fishing the tuna grounds found coho salmon that far offshore. And it looks like that might be happening again. So some exceptionally large coho, that's been a real treat, both hatchery and wild. But that particular vessel came across that rip at about 450 foot in the Astoria Canyon. It takes a while to get out to 300 foot, but once you get out there, it starts dropping off pretty quickly. So 400 comes rather quickly if you're going out that far anyway. So just something to keep in mind on the flat ocean. You may get your coho rodeo if you get out there far enough to find them out that deep. So look for those rip lines, that's a thing. We saw thresher sharks out there too, and there was clearly a lot of bait. No shortage of food for these fish. They're fat and happy. So something to consider. Stay safe.